Okay, there's still, quite a few people coming in. But it'd be really cool. I just sent a message into the chat. It'd be really cool to hear like where you guys are joining from. But yeah, just to say hello and welcome to our webinar today, titled Understanding Germany, Moving to Germany, essentially what to think about when thinking about your move to Germany. So just to quickly introduce myself, my name's Danica, and I've been working here at Terra Talent as a talent mobility consultant for the past year and 4 months now. Yeah, I'm from the UK originally, Manchester to be exact. So if there's any football fans in the room, unfortunately I don't support any of United or City. That might be saddening to some of you, but yeah, I'm from Manchester. Is that better? Can you hear me? Perfect. Thank you. It's my boss from the other room indicating for me. But yeah, so before I go into the topics of the webinar, it's a quick agenda. So in the next couple of slides, I'm going to talk about Terra Talent and who we are, and our network. Then Burkhard, who's our managing director, he will then take over and give an overview of the German election. So this past Sunday, we had elections here in Germany with some very interesting results. There were many interesting talking points and campaign points. So this is something I think is, it's important to speak about, and it definitely affects migration and immigration. It's definitely something to think about when thinking of coming to Germany. And then I will come back to then take over for the rest of the webinar with an overview of Germany. So looking at the federal states, looking at the capital, Berlin, giving a bit of the history that may provide some kind of context for why the election turned out the way it did. Then I will move on to salaries and the economy, the labour market. Also a point which I came across a really interesting thing a few days ago about where migrants actually live in Germany, which is something that's quite interesting. And yeah, then a bit about the job search. And then my colleague Paul will then take over at the end to talk about our talent services, and then we'll have a little bit of a question and answer session if there's time. But just to let you know, I mean, when we are recording the webinar, I forgot to mention, and if you do have any questions, you can write them into the chat, and my colleagues can also, if they can, answer some of those, and then we can also have a look over some of them at the end. So yeah, so Terra Talent. So about us, so as you can see here, we are a consultancy, and we're focusing on bridging the gap between global talent and German employers through building networks and providing tailored support. So on the talent side, this includes, for example, job search assistance and visa and relocation guidance. So this comes under the talent services, so Paul will speak more about that at the end of the presentation. But yeah, our network includes professionals from diverse industries, and particularly in fields where Germany faces significant skills shortages, which leads me to my next point is, despite Germany being one of the strongest economies in the world, it does face an aging population and a shrinking domestic workforce. So here I've just provided a couple of figures. So Germany needs to attract 400,000 skilled workers per year to meet the demand, and will be short around 7 million skilled workers by 2035. So this is, these are quite significant numbers, and these are more noticed in industries like engineering, healthcare, IT, manufacturing. So because of this, Germany has been actively working to attract international talent. So this is through government initiatives. This one example is the new Skilled Immigration Act. So we touched upon this in a previous webinar, where we went into it in a bit more detail, and we'll go into more detail about it in future webinars, as this is something that you can speak forever about. But it aims essentially to make it easier for foreign professionals to enter the German labour market. But nevertheless, I mean, there are, still many hurdles, and this is essentially where Terra Talent does come in. But to get back to our network, so we're pretty well connected with partners across Europe. So here you can see there's Spain, Denmark, the Netherlands, Sweden, Norway. As Germany isn't the only European country interested in talent pools outside of Europe. I mean, the aging population is a European-wide problem, not just a German one. So these are essentially investment promotion agencies, and are also interested in bridging that gap between international talent pools and European companies. So these are, to move a bit further afield, to outside of Europe. We've also established various partnerships with different schools across the African continent, and there are some examples here. And these schools essentially aim to build the tech skills of people across Africa. So there, you can see some examples. So CoTrain and Sinetheta are based in Ghana, Utiva Out School and Tech Quest based in Nigeria, and Collaborate in Uganda, and Moringa based in Kenya. And I feel like some of you that are here in the meeting, some of you have potentially come through some of these schools. But yeah, these are some examples of some of our network. But just to zoom in on one particular partner, this is the Africa Berlin Tech Network, and this is a Senate organized initiative, and this facilitates the exchange of resources, talent, ideas between select African nations and Berlin through various events and networks. So here you can see the targeted countries: so Rwanda, Egypt, Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya. But yes, so now to go into the actual content of the webinar, I'm going to introduce Burkhard. So he's our managing director, kind of like the genius behind Terra Talent, so to say. And he has a long history in business immigration through his time at Berlin Partner, and he is going to provide us a kind of German perspective about the general election, some main campaign points, the results, and what this can mean for talent, skilled immigration. So the floor is yours, Burkhard.
Thank you very much, Danica, for the kind introduction. I think I'm not a genius, but thank you for the flowers. I don't know if all of you followed the German politics within the last month. And this is a seminar where we just try to give that helicopter view on Germany, what is going to happen, what is the outlook. Danica presented some figures which sound quite impressive. So we have that old aging society. I'm nearly on the edge to one of those baby boomers going to retire within the next years. So there is a huge demand for talent coming to the German labor market. Nevertheless, within the last year, the German economy, which is still one of the biggest in the world, struggled. It was not a recession, but I would name it friendly, like a pause. So companies were not hiring that intensively, that the figures might indicate. And one reason was about politics, that we have a big coalition in place before, a coalition made out of 3 parties. And it was quite clear that they have to step back before the next elections are coming up. So the government broke 1 year before new elections would have been in place by law. And this was, everybody was looking on what the outcome of that election might be. And right now, I think we hopefully see that the industry will take on again after the decision is done. I would say that the major outcome of the coalition is, or of the election, is that there might be a stable government coming up within the next week. So everybody is expecting that there is a coalition between the conservatives and the social democrats, which is at least good news in a sense of it will be a stable one. If you go for the next slide, you would see, and that was surprisingly from my perspective as a German, there was one issue, one topic where all those TV presentations or the TV discussions were dealing about. It was about migration. The new word is remigration. I've given you like an explanation what that might be. So there was, unfortunately, like in other European countries, a right-wing party coming up to a certain extent, and they brought in that migration topic. So we did not discuss about economy. We did not discuss about environment, energy prices after the Russian war in Ukraine. It was all overlapped by this migration topic. I would see from a very individual view, this is not our biggest topic in Germany right now, but for this kind of political reasons, it is. And on the next slide, I just presented some view on Germany. If you look on the left-hand side, you see the elections. That was the last election by Angela Merkel. I think most of you know that Chancellor coming from the Conservatives. So she won the election, and you can see that dark blue is the Conservatives. They have been in power at a very high level. After she resigned, it was clear, okay, Conservatives have to find a new candidate. Then the Social Democrats, Olaf Scholz, was taking over in 2022. And you can also see from 2017 to 2021 that there was that weak, bright blue party coming up from the eastern part. And this is the right one, which called AfD, Alternative for Germany. So they're already becoming stronger. You can see that after 4 years, they're becoming even stronger. And now, if you have a look on the elections taking place this year, you can see that the right-wing party is the strongest party in the eastern part, which is also very surprising for me, because it feels like the wall came down 30 years back, but the people living in the eastern and the western part are still voting in different ways, as it is clearly shown by this picture. So we have still a mixture of conservatives and social democrats in the western part, but the right-wing party take over in the eastern part. It's hard to explain because this kind of right wing is happening all over Germany. All over they got like 20%, but there is even more stronger view on that. That has something to do with that the right-wing party also is trying to make friends again with Russia, which is a different historic linkage to the eastern part to Russia than it is for the western part. You can see 3 small islands in the eastern part. That is Berlin. Berlin, funny enough, the old left-wing party was the strongest party in Berlin. There was one area where the Social Democrats, and there was one where the left ones was taking over. So, but you can see it's a little bit of a division. I would still not say that it makes a difference when you think about relocating to Germany, where to go. But it is obvious that even in the eastern part, it might be more complicated than it is in the right part. But it's in the end, individual treatment. You can't say there are really no-go areas or something like that. But it's giving you a little bit of a slight idea what is going to happen. On the next slide, I just try to give you some idea on where the young people, the first-time voters, compared to the last election, voted for. And this is where I still find it a little bit positive that a lot of young people voted for the left ones. In the election before, a lot of young people voted for the right-wing party, AfD, but now the Linke got a lot of young people, plus 19%, which has also to do that they did not talk about migration. That was not their topic. They talked about housing, salaries, peace, things like that. So that you can see that the young people, the newcomers in that sense, are very much more open-minded than perhaps older ones, which I think was a positive outcome of the last election. And on the next slide, you can see a little bit like that's still very true. I have to admit, as a German, that people vote very differently in matter of sex. So whether you're male or female, and whether you are living in a city or whether you are living in a rural area. So you can see that if you are a man with age with at least 50 plus and living on the countryside, by far more conservatives. If you are young and female and living in a city, it's far more green or left wing. So you can see that this is still something to do where the people are coming from, what kind of background they have, where they are living. So that might be like an idea. It's always a good point to relocate to cities, because it's a different area than you just go for those rural areas. But again, you can't say that completely just on that part. So overall, I would say I'm quite optimistic. Now with the new government coming into force within the next weeks, the economy should recover. I think hiring will start again. The demographic numbers are as they are. I would not focus that much on the right-wing movement coming to Germany. We also have that in the Netherlands, in Denmark, and other areas, also in the US. So I would say Germany is still open in hiring from third countries. A lot of opportunities coming up. So it's from my side, a positive view on the next on the next upcoming year. That was my take on politics. Now I think we are going to economy, which is a better topic than talking about politics. There's always some weird things going on. Danica, happy to see your presentation now on Germany and the labor market.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's really, I mean, obviously politics is a enjoyable subject oftentimes, but like, I mean, yeah, we can still be optimistic, and I mean, there was a really, high voter turnout, and I think one thing to remember is like 80%, 81% didn't vote for the far right, and so I think this is something to be optimistic about. But yeah, so now yeah, just to give you kind of an overview of Germany, and yeah, just yeah, I mean, obviously politics can shape the country in the country's direction in many ways, and is from governance and policy making, economy, labor market. But yeah, I think it's important to take a step back and just look at Germany outside of politics. So yeah, Germany is located in the heart of Europe. So it shares borders with 9 countries. And yeah, this makes it one of the most interconnected nations of the continent, and very attractive for investment. It has a large economy, as mentioned already. It's the largest economy in Europe and the 4th largest globally. And one moment. Yeah, it's the most populous country in the European Union with 84.3 million inhabitants. And what's interesting is 23.8 million of those have migration routes, and 13.4 are from abroad. So this includes wider Europe and worldwide. Has strong industrial capabilities. So this industry I will break down a little bit more in a couple of slides and talk about the different kinds of industry and in which kind of regions they're represented. But yeah, Germany also has a good high quality education system. I think it was in 2014 when most universities got put into public ownership, and there's a lot of cultural heritage, natural diversity, and you probably already have some kind of perceptions about Germany. I don't know if this is like cars or automation, beer, Oktoberfest, this kind of stuff. So, but before we look at all of that kind of stuff, the industry stuff, I'm going to zoom into Berlin. So Berlin is of course, the capital of Germany, and as Burkhard mentioned before about the coming down of the wall, and yeah, Germany was it was divided after World War II into 4 occupation zones, and it was then made permanent with this split from with West Germany and East Germany. And Berlin itself was also divided. So here's a picture. You can see the red line bordering where the west was this really horrible wall just encircling the whole west of Berlin. And yeah, this wall was brought down in 1989, and then there was reunification in 1990. But I mean, as we're seeing, even with the 2025 general election, we're still seeing some of these, lasting effects of this division. But this can also be seen, in things to do with industry and the economy and employment and all these different kinds of subjects. But to carry on with Berlin, it has undergone a massive transformation. So there on the left, you can see that this is an old image of Potsdamer Platz. So you can kind of see it's a wasteland, so to speak. And like here you can see the wall in the middle, and yeah, it was just a wasteland and with army checkpoints. And today it's, as you can see on the right, it's completely built up, and an industry kind of hub is there. Can you all hear me okay? Or I'm just seeing the notifications in the chat. Okay, I'm getting some thumbs up. Okay. Yeah, I'll just say, check your connection, or perhaps leave and enter again, if that will work. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so yeah, as I said already, there are still some legacies of division, which can be seen in employment opportunities, infrastructure, and industry, all this kind of stuff, which we'll look into in the next few slides. So to look at wider Germany, so Germany is a federal republic consisting of 16 federal states. And in German, this is called Bundesländer. And the power is divided between the national, so the Bund, and the state Länder. And these are the state and the governments. So each state has its own parliament and government, which oversees regional matters. Germany also has 3 city-states, so they're indicated there: Bremen, Berlin, and Hamburg. And these function as both city and federal states. There's also, as mentioned already, economic and cultural diversity across all the different states. So in the west, with North Rhine-Westphalia, Hessen, Saarland, Rhineland-Pfalz. So this is kind of like the historic, industrial heartland, so to speak. And Frankfurt, which is in Hessen, is like kind of considered like the finance hub. And in the north, with Schleswig-Holstein and Hamburg and Niedersachsen, these are very important for trade, maritime industries, and the south for consisting of Baden-Württemberg, Bavaria, really important for automotive and engineering industries. And here in the east, the Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, Brandenburg, Sachsen-Anhalt, and Thüringen. So these are the former east, as has already been spoken about. And yeah, but there's still many key industries represented in the east. So, for example, in Saxony, microelectronics and tech industries are pretty represented, with Leipzig and Dresden being key economic centers, quite big cities in the southeast of Germany. And Saxony-Anhalt is also really important for agriculture. So as you can see, there's quite a vast, depending on the geography of Germany and where you are, there's a really big difference in the different industries across Germany. And as well as that, this also is reflected in salary differences as across the federal states. So again, ongoing disparities between the East and West. So yeah, this is the West typically has higher salaries. It does have stronger industries. It has multinational companies and massive industrial clusters. You can also see it in the northern city states, so Berlin, Hamburg. These offer higher salaries too. This is usually to compensate for the higher living costs. But I've also provided some figures here that I think are useful to be aware of. So Germany does have a pretty highly developed welfare state and has strong labor protections. And here you can see some examples. So as of January 2025, the minimum wage is now €12.82 per hour. and this applies to most employees. This is, most employees apart from like freelancers or apprentices and some interns. And the standard working week for full-time is around 35 to 40 hours per week. And this is like only one of many kind of job contracts that you can have. So there are, you can work part-time contracts, 20 hours. There are many job contracts and freelance, so many different contracts. But this here is for kind of like the average for a full-time worker, with average net salary around 2,500 to 3,000 per month, with paid vacation and parental leave. There's a couple of examples of some of the labour rights that you can have working in Germany. And just as an extra note at the bottom there, in the blue box, so I've provided 4 sites where you can see or kind of find out average salaries for a certain position. You can get a basic idea of what you can expect working in a certain position in Germany. So there's an Entgeltatlas, Berufenet, Lohnspiegel, and Gehaltscheck. And I think these are really interesting websites to find out about your different what you can expect. If you have any questions, you can write them in the chat, and then we can have a look over them in a little bit. Sorry, the light sensor keeps going out. So in the next slide, this is what I was mentioning before about how it's interesting about where migrants are already living. So this is data from June 2024, and it varies pretty significantly across different regions. This reflects economic opportunities, industry hubs, regional differences in labour demand. So Berlin, there 21.4% stands out as a top destination for international professionals, which I imagine is hardly surprising. I mean, it has a strong tech hub. It's a strong tech hub. It's thousands of startups here. It's a massive startup hub, and it has many creative industries. Baden-Württemberg and Hesse, as industry giants, also have a large population of foreign professionals, with 19.6 and 19.5% respectively. So Baden-Württemberg is home to automotive giants like Mercedes-Benz and Bosch. And as mentioned before, Hesse, especially Frankfurt, is the kind of finance capital in Germany. So this is where it kind of hosts the Deutsche Bank, ECB, and has a thriving fintech scene. So down in the south, Bavaria, this is where you'll find BMW, Siemens, more high-tech startups, and manufacturing, IT engineering sectors are booming here as well. And in the west, so Rhineland-Pfalz, or Rhineland-Palatinate in English, is strong in like chemicals and pharmaceuticals, with companies like BASF and Boehringer Ingelheim leading the way. I mean, what is interesting, I mean, obviously we've spoken about the election and, the topic of migration. But what is interesting is that in the eastern states have the lowest percentages of foreign workers, and actually face like lots of labor shortages. So it actually ironically benefit from skilled migration. But nevertheless, we shall move on. So here I just kind of provided a breakdown of like some of the industries in which cities they are most represented, and some examples of different companies. So IT and tech, aerospace, aviation, renewable energy and green tech. I mean, this webinar is being recorded, so you'll be able to access this. I mean, there's quite a lot of information on the slides, but you'll be able to access it later on if you would like to watch the webinar again later on. But yeah, when it comes to searching for jobs or planning a move, it is important to consider, you know, not just the city, but like, yeah, its dominant industries, and knowing where opportunities in your field are concentrated can, yeah, kind of make all the difference in finding the right fit and being more successful with your job search. So to look at the different kinds of businesses, so there is kind of those were mostly, you know, corporates and really large businesses in Germany, but it's also crucial to consider the wider industry landscape of Germany. So you'll definitely know of some of the corporates already. They're provided at the top. So as mentioned already, Mercedes-Benz, there's BMW and Siemens, which is down in Bavaria, the headquarters in Bavaria. But if we actually look at the total number of employees in Germany, which is around 46 million, around 45% of these work in the large enterprises, so in the corporates. And these are defined as companies with more than 1,000 employees. But if we are to look at the, you know, the true backbone of German industry, this is the SMEs, so the small to medium-sized enterprises, and these actually comprise over 99% of all German businesses. So they are, you know, they are the backbone to German industry. And these are moderately sized companies with less than 1,000 employees, but they account for around 56% of Germany's economic output, and they employ approximately 55% of the total workforce, which is around 19 million people. They're also really important when it comes to things like vocational training. They provide around 70% of all apprenticeships in Germany, which is also interesting to note. So here I've provided 5 examples of SMEs. So the first one there is Burt. This is a company that specializes in screws and assembly materials for construction and industrial use. And Wiesmann is a company for heating and control systems, Trumpf in machine tools and laser technology, and Finn is a car subscription company. So yeah, so the SMEs are pretty important to look at, and especially for the job search. It's really important to have a look at the SMEs and not only apply for, you know, the big corporates, but to have a look at the SMEs, because you could, I mean, if you don't, I mean, you've been missing out on, you know, thousands of opportunities with the SMEs. And at the bottom, you know, the small companies, so these are companies that employ less than 10 employees, and these make up around, I think, 20% of the rest of the German workforce. But yeah, as you can see, there are many different options, and it's important to consider different options, basically. So yeah, so how to tap into the hidden job market. So the corporates, especially, I mean, the corporates would typically advertise their job opportunities online, but many job opportunities aren't ever publicly advertised. So this is why it's important for you to utilize industry events and direct applications. So here are some examples of where you can connect with recruiters, startups, research institutions, etc. But to provide a few examples here. So AI Berlin is a hub for AI startups, research institutions and businesses in Berlin. So this is where you can connect with recruiters and companies in AI, if this is your realm of, if this is your skill. And automotive BV it's kind of the same thing. It's a network of automotive and mobility companies in Baden-Württemberg. So this is again another, if automation is your skill, then this is like where you would network for those jobs. And there are also, this is just one example, Hannover Messe. So this is a huge job fair, but there are thousands of job fairs all over Germany, happening at different times over the course of the year. These are also important. This is also an important way to network and meet employers, as many companies actually hire directly from trade fairs. And but there are also sometimes job fairs are hosted online, so it's important to keep an eye on say local government websites or these kinds of networks, and try and keep an eye on if they have any updates. And usually they kind of publicize, and normally on LinkedIn too, and they will put on there like, this is a online job fair, come online. And for those obviously that it's quite difficult for a lot of you guys in Africa to get here just for a job fair, so there are online options as well. The Adlershof Science at Work, this is one of Europe's largest science and technology parks. So this hosts over 1,200 companies and 16 research institutions. So this is really great for opportunities in, research and development, product development, and technical roles. Another way is to connect with online communities. So, of course, online job portals are important, but in these online communities are just as important. And I mean, this can also be used. I mean, Meetup, for example, can also be used not only for work, but I mean, everything else when it comes to settling in Germany. So Meetup is often used for, you can use it for, social events, book clubs, sports clubs, music clubs, like everything is on Meetup. So, I mean, it's not only for, finding, other, finding employers or recruiters or events that are going on, job fairs that are going on. This can be used for essentially everything. And the We Are Developers is also another example of an online community where you can you essentially find out about all the different events that are going on, and where you can meet people and recruiters and that kind of stuff. But nevertheless, obviously networking is an important part of the job search, but online job portals are still good resources for the job search and getting an initial knowledge of the job landscape in Germany. So this includes what opportunities there are, salaries offered in different cities or industries. But I think it's really good. I mean, of course, I mean, I said that many companies don't post many of their vacancies, so it's a really good idea to utilize both. So using the large online job portals, and also utilizing networking and job fairs, to ensure you don't miss out on opportunities. But I hope that kind of gives you a kind of good overview about the industry landscape of Germany, where international people are already living, where the industries are kind of where they are, where they're represented, and I hope it kind of gives you a good overview of like a little bit of how to tap into the job market a bit. We do actually have 2 webinars already on our YouTube, talking about the job search in Germany. This is covering CV writing, networking, looking at the online job portals, all this kind of stuff. If you're interested in that topic, and we'll be doing more webinars about the job search in future too. But yeah, I hope that was informative enough. So I'm going to welcome my colleague Paul. He is going to talk to you about the talent services that we offer at Terra Talent, and yeah, this is where we come in to help you guys on your way to Germany. But yeah, thank you for listening, and I hope it was informative.
Hello, everyone. I'm Paul. I'm originally from Ghana as well. I came to Germany about 5 years ago. So I initially came on a study visa, and then I graduated school and then found a job. So in general, what we do at Terra Talent is we try to let people or internationals understand the job market and try to help them become attractive to German employers. So what we do offer is some services in regards to migrating to Germany, trying to improve your CV and then adapting your CV to the German standard. So here we have our team. That's Danica, me, and then Elisha, who is currently in Nigeria for a job seminar. So in general, what we actually do, we help you with several things, including visas, and then relocating to Germany. We help you with job search strategies as well, and try to connect you with industry experts and then companies in Germany in general. So that is what we do at Terra Talent currently. So yeah, that will be a brief introduction about myself and then about our talent services. And I could also see some questions in the chat box for which I think Danica and I will be answering. Yeah, so the first question is, are there any strategies for foreigners integration within each state? For this, I think I can somehow explain a bit. Integration in general it depends on how you come to Germany, but it's also on the federal level. So there's a Ministry for Integration and Migration in Germany that offers integration courses on the federal level. So it's like there are so many integration centers across Germany where you can apply for and then get to know Germany and then its culture. But in general, it comes at a cost, or it's totally free. You could also go to any of the German integration centers or a German school and then pay and then quickly get yourself integrated. I think that is the fastest way because that's what most of us did. How can one go to Germany and live there, and how much is needed? Maybe Danica can answer this.
Yeah, so I think this definitely depends on how you're coming here. So if you're coming here as a student, if you're coming here for work, it depends on what you're aiming to do when you're here. So there are many different ways to get here. So if you want to come here as a student, if you want to come with the blue card, if you want to come here with the opportunity card, there are many different ways to get here, and for how much is needed, money-wise, this varies across the different routes. So, for example, for the opportunity card, or if you want to come here to study, you have to have the blocked account. This is an account that you need, I think it's around 12,000 euros in the blocked account, unless you can get someone to cover for you with a direct declaration of commitment. There are also the different visa fees, and if you need to come for if you want to work in something like healthcare or as a lawyer or whatever, these are have extra costs. Say, for example, if you need to get your qualification recognized, this is also an extra cost. So it varies person to person, circumstance to circumstance. So there can we can't really give like one number to how much is needed. It depends on the individual person and how they're getting here.
Yep. And from Yusuf, is the German language necessary to move to Germany, or can we manage with just English and French?
I mean, I'm an English person, and yeah, I mean, I work in English. I mean, this job, I mean, me and Paul, we both work in English, but we got lucky to find a job that's in English. It definitely depends on the industry you're working in, where you're living. For example, in the bigger, more international companies, I would say, especially in tech, for example, German quite often isn't needed. But this is for work, for actual getting around Germany, dealing with bureaucracy and the visa process and everything. You would need some kind of German to survive here. So yeah, it again depends on the job. So if you want to work in healthcare, for example, you definitely need German at least a B2 level. Depending on the visa that you're going to get, you need certain levels of German. This ranges from A1 to B2, depending on the kind of visa you're getting. But I mean, for cities like Berlin, I mean, almost everyone here in Berlin speaks English. But it's also, I mean, it's also helpful to have some kind of German language for moving here.
Yeah. I think engineer Khalid Mohammed says, asked for those who are in the country, can they apply for it? I'm assuming he meant, can you apply for a job in Germany if you are within the country? I mean, that's definitely a yes. So it's definitely a yes. If you're in Germany, you can apply for most of the things like available to everyone in Germany. So yeah. How do I know from Beremayao Anto? How do I know if my qualification meets the German standards?
So this is what I mentioned before. So this is recognition. This is how you figure out if your qualification is recognized. So say if you got a university degree, you can check on Anabin. So say if someone from your university doing your course has already gone through the recognition process, it will be on Anabin. You can then, so this is ANABIN. This is a online database where you can find your particular university and your degree, and you can there figure out if your qualification is recognized in Germany. So it will have a H plus next to it, and this indicates that it's a recognized degree in Germany. Where it gets a bit more difficult is with vocational studies. So for example, for the opportunity card, for the point system for the opportunity card, vocational studies are accepted, but they need to be recognized in Germany, and this is where you have to go through the recognition process. So this is, I mean, we could do like a whole hour webinar on the recognition process, but essentially this is to figure out that if your qualifications are the qualifications you did in your home country are equivalent to the up to like the German equivalent with regards to standards. And this is around, I think, 150 euros for the recognition application. So it's quite expensive, but for many people, this is an essential step. So this is how you find out about your qualifications. We have someone with a hand up.
Yeah, but there's so many questions. So I think with regards to your questions about the German companies that operate in heavy industries, such as steel making and mining, yes, there are several German companies that are like in these areas. And then in the area of recycling, yes, there's Schultz Recycling, there is Salzgitter AG also. I mean, in general, there are so many German companies in the industry you refer to, and yes, most industries in Germany, especially within engineering and then a few other fields, have a shortage of skilled labor. So there's a chance where they need more internationals now to move to Germany and then help them with labor and then in general work. For Atete and Norete, I believe that the tech industry is quite competitive in itself. How hard is it for internationals to get work in a country like Germany? I mean, from what I would say, in general, Germany, to come to Germany, the tech industry, I think, is the easiest route to come to Germany, because there are not so many requirements for that. There are two actually, there are two sections or differences in this. Like, there's the skilled worker migration for the tech industry, where like you come with a qualification, a university degree, and then there's also the second part where you don't come with a degree, but you come with experience. So let's say you work in the tech industry, but you don't have a you don't have certification, but you were able to like get a job in the tech industry for about 2 to 3 years. Then yes, you can migrate to Germany and then work in the tech industry as well.
Also, I just wanted to just add something about the German companies, which German companies operate in those specific industries. So on the job portal website, and especially the the Bundesagentur für Arbeit, on this slide, you can actually, I don't know if you can see on your screen, but the Bundesagentur für Arbeit, you can even search the different industries there at the bottom. So they're highlighted with graphics and the name. So this could be, steel, healthcare, hospitality, whatever, and those are indicated there. So then even on there, you can find the different companies.
Yeah.
Just to, as an extra point.
Yeah. And Kadun, with regards to your question, what Terra Talent is gaining? What is Terra Talent gaining from sponsorship? It depends on the partnership we have with different entities. So, for example, we have one with Co-Train in general, where we kind of like align with Co-Train to train tech people in tech. Like, I mean, Co-Train is a coding school in Ghana that like actually trains people in tech. And then from my understanding, from our like partnership with Co-Train, after gaining like enough knowledge in software engineering or whatever field you want to do in tech, and then you think of migrating to Germany, is when we Terra Talent comes in. We come in and then help you with what you need in regards to this, and then introduce you to the German market in general. So yes, in general, there are also remote opportunities for people in Africa looking to work for German companies in Germany as well. But it all depends on your application to these companies. Yeah, and to everyone who joined late and couldn't like start the session with us, I think after this we would have the recording posted on our YouTube channel and then also shared on our LinkedIn. So probably you should keep an eye on our LinkedIn channel and then our YouTube channel as well.
Okay, yeah, that's the hour up now. I hope we answered your questions well. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming this afternoon. And if you have any questions, any further questions, you can contact us at talent@terratalents.de. And there you can, if you're interested in talent services, there you can contact us with this QR code as well. But we'll let you go. But we wishing you all a brilliant rest of your days, and hope to see some of you at the next webinars coming up, where you can find these out on our LinkedIn too. We'll keep you updated. But thank you.